We are live. Welcome back to the eSIM studios. Let's run the intro real quick. Welcome back, eSIM Studios podcast live stream, episode number 210 on this Sunday afternoon. Hope everybody is enjoying themselves. Let me do a quick sound check real quick. Okay, we're good. Now, let's add the beats and we will get on our way. Now, I want to remind everybody, if you miss one of the topics that we discuss today here on the show, on the live stream, it's a live stream and it's a podcast, so you can always, I'm streaming across multiple platforms, so you can always go to YouTube if you want to catch the replay and search for eSIM Studios. We will pop up. You can also catch us on any podcast platform available. You can get this in the audio form on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio app, Samsung Podcasts, Spotify, everything across the board. So I appreciate everybody for joining us. It is October the 6th. This is episode 210. And let's get into it. I hope everybody's having a good day today. So allergies are alive and kicking here in South Texas today. So if I'm blinking quite a bit, eyes are pretty irritated, but just put some eye drops in. So let's get rolling. So I got called out in my comments, which is pretty common. And look, I don't take offense to it, right? And if you correct me, I'll own it and say, wow, thank you for the information, whatever. But if you're incorrect, and I know I am correct, I will politely correct you, right? That's what it's all about. not being rude or anything. It's just sharing knowledge. So I got called out for my last video that I uploaded Friday. It was the Pixel 9 security update. Somebody said that's not true, and I sent them the proof. And what else? Somebody mentioned this weekend in the comments that the iPhone 17 Air was just a rumor, right? That they're not actually going to do that. And we have more proof. So I hope whoever commented is watching, because here we have more proof that it is in development. It has been for the last few years. And some of that technology that they're going to use for the iPhone 17 Air is currently being used on the new Apple Watch Series 10. Now, if you don't know what that is, so the iPhone 17 Air is going to be a razor thin phone. We're talking 4 millimeters thick. I mean, literally half of the thickness of the current iPhones. The technology that they're using for that phone, that they're using in the Apple Watch 10, is a new PCB board. The motherboard, basically, for the phones. In every phone, Pixel, Samsung, even the current iPhones, you have a motherboard, and then you have components that sit on top of it. Well, this new technology that they patented, Apple I'm talking about, merges everything into one flat plane. So it actually merges the CPU inside the motherboard. It merges the memory, the RAM inside the motherboard. So it's just one flat plane instead of stacking everything on top, which adds to the thickness. The new that's how they could make the Apple Watch 10 like 30% thinner than the Apple Watch Series 9. So they started the new motherboard in the Apple Watch Series 10, and they're going to use that same technology in the iPhone 17 Air, which is going to make it incredibly thin. And now we got word that Apple is actually sourcing and purchasing. So they've previously been sourcing parts. So when you're a cell phone manufacturer, because Apple makes the iPhone, duh, right? But do they make the memory? Samsung does. Do they make the speaker that goes in there? No, a company called who makes the speaker? It's a Chinese company, some weird name. But when you design a phone, you have to source all your parts. You have to reach out to parts manufacturers and get estimates for, I don't know, 10 million speakers, right? And then they go with their best option, because Apple makes the iPhone, but they don't make 100% of the parts. So when it comes time to source for major components such as the display, Apple has currently found a supplier for their new iPhone 17 Air when it comes to the display. And that's our very first story. So here you can tell there's a story here on Android headlines. And what do you know? iPhone 17 Air is going to feature a brand new OLED display made by Novatech. Novatech is a display manufacturer. Which is kind of interesting because there's two main display suppliers. The very first one and the largest one is Samsung. So Samsung's made a number. Samsung makes the displays for Google Pixel. Samsung makes the displays obviously for Samsung. Samsung makes the displays for Nothing phones. But this year Apple chose to go with Novatech, which I've heard of them before in the past. They're a smaller display company. I say smaller, they're still relatively big, right? Because look, when Apple's sourcing parts for this iPhone 17 Air that's going to be released next year, you have to remember they're probably going to sell millions upon millions of these phones. So I'm sure, look, all this stuff gets worked out in the background a year, 2 years before the phone is even starting manufacturing. Now, going with a company like Novatech, I'm sure Apple's looking to increase profits. Excuse me, allergies. Apple is cost, right? So cost comes into the play. Did Novatech charge less per display than Samsung? Probably. Does Apple have more control and more say-so in the tweaks and maybe minor changes that need to take place? Because remember, when you're making a custom iPhone like this, it's not a typical iPhone. This is something that's going to be revolutionary. And y'all know I'm not big on iPhone, but I do intend on getting one of these just because of how cutting edge this will be on technology. Novatech, look, when you deal with a huge company like Samsung that would be a supplier for your phone, they might not be as accessible or willing to make minor tweaks and changes. Now, Apple is, of course, on Samsung's side, Apple is a huge customer, but what if they're just not willing to maybe work closely with Apple in designing or making, because when you're making a brand new phone, cutting edge technology that's honestly never been done before, it takes a lot of R&D, a lot of research and development. It takes a lot of working hand in hand, side by side with your supplier. So this is a very, very important project for Apple, and I'm sure Novatech is going to work closely with them when designing this new display. So here is even more proof that the iPhone 17 Air is real and will be released next year. Now that's what looks like a 16 Pro, but Apple sourcing a new type of OLED display for its iPhone 17 and presumably the 17 Air. A Taiwanese company called Novatech has confirmed, keyword confirmed, it will begin mass producing this new OLED display next year. Apple unveiled the 16 series recently. Now, they started shipping the latest iPhones to early buyers last month, however, has not stopped rumors on the new 17 series. So there's a new rumor, there's some new information that's claiming the 17 and the slimmer model, the 17 Air, will have a 120 Hz display. Now, a Taiwanese company called Novatech has announced it will ramp up production for the new OLED display next year, which could be ideal for the upcoming iPhone 17 models. According to DigiTimes, an online publication, Novatech announced plans to commence mass production of its highly anticipated OLED technology, OLED TDDI technology, as early as the second quarter of 2025. Novatech is one of Taiwan's leading display driver manufacturers. It's important to note that either Apple or Novatech has confirmed the latter display will be on next year's iPhone model. However, the timing of Novatech's scheduled production roadmap and the expected launch of the iPhone 17 Air in the fall of 2025 might not be a coincidence. This new iPhone 17 Air will have a newer, thinner OLED screen with 120 Hz refresh rate. Now, let's hope it's a real 120 Hz refresh rate, because we've seen online on social media people actually testing the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, and you can actually get you can go into, I believe it's developers mode. You have to have a developer's account and go into developer mode on the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, and it'll show you on the top right corner what your screen is doing, what the refresh rate is at. And it appears that Apple is only clocking the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max at 80 Hz refresh rate. So not entirely true that it is a true 120 Hz refresh rate display like you will find on Android devices. It's still only 80. which is insane. Now, hopefully this will get a true 120 hertz refresh rate. It would be a big shame if it's not. Let's see. So it's going to go in. NordVPN has confirmed it will mass produce displays with its highly anticipated OLED TDDI technology. A big advantage of embedding an OLED TDDI display is that it allows thinner screens. Needless to say, this could be the ideal screen technology for the iPhone 17 Air. In little known fact, in the Nothing Phone 2A actually has a foldable display, a foldable OLED in the Nothing Phone 2A. Now, why did they put a foldable OLED inside of a non-folding phone? That's because they are thin, considerably thinner, in which helps out if you're cramming in all sorts of technology inside your phone, but you still want to make it, thin. If they put a I think it's at 7.8 millimeters thick, the total phone. If you wanted to put a traditional OLED in the Nothing Phone 2A, it might have been 8.2 millimeters thick. So just by putting a foldable OLED in their Nothing Phone 2A, even though it doesn't fold, you're able to save, I guess, probably half a millimeter or something like that, which does make a big difference when you actually use the phone. Give me 1 second. I have to take care of something real quick. Bear with me just for a second. Okay, I'm back. I apologize about that. Let's see here. Now, let's go back to, I have a Xiaomi phone that is getting ready to be released. So let's take a look at this Xiaomi phone, right? Check this out. I have yet to own a Xiaomi phone. I've always wanted a Xiaomi phone, but never have gotten around to owning one. This year, maybe not. The only way you can get one, not the only way, but not on, you can get one on eBay, but the prices are inflated. Best place to get a Xiaomi phone if you're here in America is on like AliExpress, right? Xiaomi is basically the largest. I take that back. I don't want to say largest, but it is a Chinese made. Excuse me. It's a Chinese manufacturer. Runs Android. It's one of the more popular brands outside of the United States. In fact, the largest selling phone in Brazil, of all places, is Xiaomi. Now in China, I'm not sure what their market share is in China, their home country, but I know it's pretty big, right? I think iPhone's popular, Samsung's popular, and Xiaomi is obviously popular in China. So that's why not many people here in the US have them. Again, if you're interested, I would get one on AliExpress. Don't get one on eBay. prices are inflated. But here is their latest phone. So this will be the flagship device. They typically are launched in, or shall I say, at the beginning of every year, right around the same time, within a week or two, of the new Samsung Galaxy S series. Let's see. So here is the leak. This one should come out, I believe it's in late December, early January. I'm not sure if they moved up their release date like everybody else. But let's take a look. We have new information on the new Xiaomi 15 Pro. It was just leaked. The renders of the Xiaomi's upcoming flagship smartphone. We get the design, the color options, and the rear camera module, right? That's not it. That's the Samsung. Xiaomi 15 Pro renders, leaks, design, and other details. So smart pricks? Yeah, that's a weird name. Smart pricks, in collaboration with X user Cardi Key, has leaked renders of the 15 Pro before it launches next month. So they definitely are moving up their launch date as everybody else. I mentioned their traditional flagships, the 14 series, which is the current one, 13 series last year, 12 series 2 years before that, I believe launched. They were always the very first phone in the world to launch with the very latest Snapdragon flagship CPU, right? A lot of people think Samsung are the first manufacturers to launch with the new Snapdragon CPU, like the current S24 series was launched in mid-January. And a lot of people think that's the very first phone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, but that's incorrect. Believe the OnePlus 12 and the S24 were within a week of each other, but Xiaomi beat them to the punch, because the Xiaomi 14 series actually launched with the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 back in late December, I believe, if my memory serves me right. Now, why are they moving theirs forward? Why is Xiaomi moving their launch date forward? Remember, the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, seems like everybody's moving up their launch date when it comes to phones, when it comes to CPUs. So Snapdragon is launching their new 8 Gen 4 here in about a week or two, and Xiaomi is jumping right on that train. They want to be and I would too. If I was a phone manufacturer, I would want my new phone to have the newest CPU, but they're jumping on the release schedule essentially of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. So Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 gets announced in a couple of weeks. Well, guess what? The OnePlus 13 and apparently the Xiaomi 15 series, 15 Pro, is going to launch a week or two after Snapdragon announces their new 8 Gen 4, and we'll have another beast of a phone here. So let's take a look. The LED flash array is now located outside of the camera island. Xiaomi may have tweaked the design to accommodate a powerful laser autofocus module. So here is the Xiaomi 15 Pro. You can tell the flash is excluded from that camera island back there. Sort of similar to the OnePlus 10, if you remember that, had the same camera island, sort of a square-shaped camera island. And then obviously OnePlus moved on to the circular camera island. But it looks fairly similar to the 14 series. Again, the only thing that stands out that noticeably different is the flash moved outside of that camera island there. It features a triple camera setup in square camera deco with 4 circles and a flash outside of the deco. The upcoming flagship smartphone from Xiaomi will reportedly be available in 3 colors: black, white, and silver. So no crazy colors here, no bold colors. Black, white, and silver. Xiaomi would surely name these colors differently, unfortunately, like everybody else. Smartphone seems to have a sleek glass sandwich construction with a flat metal frame, and it shall have a flat front display and a flat back display to sort of match with what everybody else is doing. Some reports also claim the Xiaomi 15 Pro would be available in a special titanium edition as well. Perhaps the Chinese company intends to compete with the Desert Titanium version of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So what are the specs, right? So there's been several leaks and rumors about the 15 Pro. They claim the flagship smartphone will have a 6.78-inch quad curved AMOLED from TCL, another OLED display manufacturer. Now, if I just mentioned it's going to have a front display, it's going to have a flat display and a flat back with flat sides. How in the world could it have a 6.78-inch quad curved AMOLED? Well, OnePlus is doing something similar this year. So, upon the first look, and presumably with the feel and touch of the device, it will have a flat display. However, I believe OnePlus is calling their quad curved display nano curved technology, nano curved display, quad curved display. So what it's going to be is essentially it's going to be a totally flat display, but it's going to slope down. Now, I'm not talking about drastic slopes. It's going to feel like a flat display, but that's why they call it nano curved, because right before the side of the phone meets the top of the phone, and on the back as well, instead of having a sharp right angle where the display and the side meets, instead of there being a sharp right angle, they're going to curve it a bit nano. So it's going to be very, very, very small curvatures on all four sides. So not just the left and right side, it's going to be the top and bottom as well. So that makes a difference, because when you look at the phone, if you're holding it in your hand or it's laying down on a countertop, desk, what have you, you will not be able to see the bezels. So the nano curve in there basically takes that bezel away. So the bezel is the little black strip that goes around the display. Every phone has them. Now, as of recently, they've gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, but every phone has a bezel on here. Let me show you. So here's a phone, right? You see the clock up there on the top of the corner? You see that black? You see the curve right here? Where the green, the aqua color meets the outside of the phone. There's that little black strip that goes all the way around the phone. That's the bezel. Apple has increased their screen size while keeping the phone size basically same as last year. The dimensions are relatively the same with very minor adjustments, but they increased the screen size simply by reducing that little black strip that goes all the way around. Now with a quad curved display, a nano curved display, it will reduce the bezel to almost no bezel. At some point, we'll probably get to no bezel, but you kind of have to have it to set that OLED underneath the glass. But without getting too technical, it'll basically look like it'll curve just where that bezel is at. So when you're looking at a phone straight on, you will not see the bezels around the phone. It'll just be OLED display, which would look really, really cool. Can't wait to see the OnePlus 13 and the Xiaomi 15 Pro with that nano curvature, quad curved display there. It's going to have 2K resolution, over 500 pixels per square inch, and 120 hertz refresh rate. Now, it's going to be a flagship, obviously, and the 15 Pro would pack the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, the best mobile chipset of the year, even including and beating out the new Apple A18 Pro. They're going to pack this with 16 gigs of RAM and up to a terabyte of storage. First look, upcoming specs. Here they go. It's launching this October. 2K display, Qualcomm 8 Gen 4, triple 50 megapixel cameras, just like the OnePlus 13. 6,000 mAh battery, just like the OnePlus 13. So they should look kind of similar and have relatively similar specs between this Xiaomi 15 Pro and the new OnePlus 13, right? It's going to have, we mentioned the 50 megapixel, the triple 50 megapixel camera setup. It's going to have a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and a 50 megapixel 5x tele macro camera with 30 centimeter minimum autofocus distance accompanying the main camera. There will also be a 32 megapixel front facing selfie camera. Besides the professional grade imaging hardware and stunning display, the Xiaomi 15 Pro would also pack a massive 6,000 mAh battery, supports 90 watts wired charging, 80 watt wireless, which is insane, and a 10 watt reverse wireless charging. They will announce this upcoming flagship smartphone, and it will shortly, and it will get officially five Android OS updates. And also saying the Titanium Edition should come with satellite connectivity as well. All right. Let's see here. Now, a couple more things and we'll get out of here. Android theft protection starts rolling out to Google devices, newer flagship devices. So, and then it will make its way to mid-range phones and cheap phones as time goes on. Android's pushing this. Remember, there's millions upon millions of phones, and they do things and roll out, which is pretty common for these manufacturers. Now, if you have a current flagship or even a year or two old flagship, presumably the S23 Ultra, just throwing names out there, or the Xiaomi 14 Pro, which we were just mentioning, if you do have a relatively newer flagship, you should get this feature here very soon in Google Play Services update here in the future. So what is Android theft protection? Android theft protection is going to work similar to how Apple has their theft protection basically, but it's going to have one cool feature that is not found on iOS devices. Google has started rolling out 3 theft protection features for Android devices. These features will rely on multiple sensors to lock the device immediately after a thief steals it. We mentioned this, I want to say 2 months ago when we got news that they were working on something like this, but now it has started, the update has started hitting devices, right? So if you have a Google Play Services update, it will be baked inside the Google Play Services update. Now, remember, you do not get notified of a Play Services update. You only technically get notified, of course, for app updates if you have that setting in the Play Store app, but the Google Play Services update, and obviously a major software update, you will get notified, hey, you have an update, meaning like moving on from Android 13 to 14 or 14 to 15. Google Play Services update, you have to check yourself. It will never recommend it. I don't know why. I think they need to change that in the future. But what you do is just go to settings, go to your settings app, open that up, and then where the search bar is or the search icon, just all you got to do is search Google Play Services update, and then you'll see the highlighted search results. Simply click that and then check for update. It'll say there's an update, and then it will ask you to restart. Simply restart. Now, this is cool because it's going to work with sensors. As you know, these smartphones are not just a device you can talk and text on. They're basically mini supercomputers in the palm of your hand, in your pocket. And these all have multiple sensors. You can tell if it's on the X or Y axis, and at what degree or what angle it's at, the G forces that it's incurring. So it will be able to detect, and they've done testing, right? It takes time developing a service like this or a feature like this. But what it will do, if you're standing still, or it's in your pocket, or it's in your hand, or even your purse, if you're a woman, what this new feature does, pardon me, the allergies are getting to me. What this does is it will lock your phone. So it will be able to sense. Now, this is not something you have to activate. It will be taking measurements 24/7 of your device, again, where it's at. And if it detects a sudden movement of a jerk and or somebody running, so a drastic movement and then it taking off really quick, it will lock the phone down, meaning it will basically turn your screen lock on, where you're going to have to input your password or your pattern, or a fingerprint, right, for it to unlock. And it does that on purpose because they've been able to detect, and we've gotten rumors that they've been working on this for over a year or 2 years. So this is a long time in the making. Now it's not going to shut it off or anything, but what it does is an extra security feature where there's been times where people are texting on their phone, somebody behind them grabs the phone, runs off. Now, obviously, you're going to lose a phone. That definitely sucks. But here's another major issue that comes along with that. A lot of phones have auto for applications. Let's just say a crypto app or a banking app. A lot of these phones have automatic passwords. So you basically, your username will be auto-filled, and then you have your password manager will pop up a password on your screen. So all you have to do is touch the password. It autofills your password into the Bank of America app, and then you hit submit, and then you're logged into your your bank app or your crypto app. That's dangerous because if your phone is already unlocked and you're texting on it, somebody grabs it, runs away, they can immediately, as they get around a corner or hop in a car and take off, all they got to do is open up the Bank of America app or your Kraken crypto app. Autofill will fill in the passwords, and they hit submit, boom, they're in your accounts, and then they basically can drain your funds. I've heard that happen to many people on many occasions. So this is just another way that Google is trying to implement the security feature. Look, it doesn't hurt anything at all to implement this, right? So this is a very cool feature. When I first heard of it a few months ago, I was like, that's a pretty nifty idea, right? In implementation of security. What does it matter to me if, now what do you say, and you could say, well, what if it locks down too much, meaning like, what if it does it automatically and nobody stole your phone? What if you're getting ready for a run and you're setting your music for your earbuds, and then you start running? Well, yeah, it might lock down your phone. So next time you pull your phone out, you're gonna have to put a password or pattern in. Now, this is the same lockdown if you go into lockdown mode, or if you turn your phone off, power it back on, restarting it, it'll pop up. So your face won't work. You're gonna have to have a pin or pattern to unlock the device. I'm sure it will take some time to adjust it. It might be overly effective, meaning it might lock your phone down even if nobody steals it. That's okay with me. I don't think it'll be overly aggressive, meaning it's going to get annoying, but I'm willing to take that feature and run with it. right? So no pun intended. But if I would rather have this feature than not, and we'll see if they make minor adjustments here in the future. And this will not only be for Pixel devices, it's for all Android devices moving forward, and they have just started the rollout of this new feature in the latest Google Play Services update. Now, they're starting out with flagship phones, so Pixel 9 series, I'm sure, got it right away. I haven't tested it, maybe I will. The Samsung Galaxy S23 series, I think, is getting it on this upcoming Play Services update. I'm sure the Nothing phone will get it here soon, OnePlus, stuff like that. You can look forward to that. Now, again, it won't basically, because when you update Google Play Services, it's not like a software update or a monthly security patch where they give you a list of things that they updated, right? Or features added. It's just, hey, you have an update, and then you update it, and then you restart it to update it. So it will not basically tell you that the new feature is enabled, but as soon as you update Google Play Services, just know that if you have a relatively newer flagship device, it will be implemented in this upcoming Google Play Services update. And then for mid-range phones, it will be, I think, pushed probably within the next couple months. So definitely have that to look forward to. So this is one of three announcements, one of three new features, theft protection features, that Google announced at Google I/O in 2024. They have now started to roll out the following features to all Android devices, flagship first, mid-range second. The first one is theft detection lock. It works by using sensors, Wi-Fi, and smart device connections to determine if, while in use and unlocked, a thief suddenly takes your phone and runs away with it. Well, then the lockdown occurs, right? The phone will automatically lock the screen so that they won't be able to access your phone. As I mentioned, the banking apps, autofill passwords into crypto apps, and then drain your money. Next, offline device lock will trigger if someone steals your phone and immediately deactivates the Wi-Fi. It will only trigger if the device is being actively used at the moment of the theft. The feature will only trigger twice a day to minimize accidental triggers. And again, I mentioned they might tweak this in the future, just depending on what people say once these features are activated on a large majority of the Android devices out here. The last feature is a remote lock. Users can visit android.com/lock if a thief steals their device and calls a number. Users have to provide their number confirmed during the setup process and complete a security challenge. This can be done on a trusted person's phone. Google has indicated this feature is faster than logging into Find My Device. Now, let's get clarity on which smartphones will get the new anti-theft feature. These features have a dedicated page called Theft Protection in the main settings app for Android. Alternatively, users can head over to the redesigned Google Services page, All Services tab, and then Personal and Device Safety in the settings app, as I mentioned. All three detection capabilities are visible when in the Google Play Services beta version 24.40.33. They will gradually reach Android smartphones in the stable version of Google Play Services. Phones running Android 10 and above are eligible to receive theft protection features. In other words, most modern smartphones should get these features here in the near future. So just be on the lookout. Remember, Google Play Services does not remind you have an update available. So what do I do? Usually around the first of the month, I'll always check on all my devices. I'll always check, go into settings, go to the search bar, type in Google Play Services update, and I will manually check them. And usually once a month, every single device has an update. So I am going to link this. Let's check it out. Where is this new theft feature here? I thought they said they had a dedicated page. So if you do go to Google Services page, here's what it looks like. You can essentially, I'm gonna do, you know what? I'm gonna do a app review of this. Probably record it tomorrow, upload it tomorrow. So I'm gonna go through all this. Join me tomorrow, or be on the lookout for a video explaining this in a little more detail. I'll record setting this up on my device, so you can just follow along on your device, and everybody will have theft protection enabled and set up on their phones. I'll record this and be on the lookout for a video tomorrow. I think I'll do that here shortly after this is done, so we can get this squared away. Very last thing. Let's see. So, been disappointed by Samsung. Samsung has disappointed me. So, Android 15. Let me reverse this. Got some disappointing news this week from Samsung. So, Samsung held their developers conference earlier this week. Maybe 5-6 days ago. Maybe, I'll say 4 days ago. Anyways, they announced, everybody knows, that they've been working on One UI 7, their next big software update for Samsung devices, for the skin, so to speak, Samsung skin, One UI 7. Now, it's been delayed and delayed and delayed some more. We were expecting One UI 7 to be on our devices already. I think the rollout date was, what are we in, October? I think we were supposed to have this in late August, right around when the Flip 6 and Fold 6 came out, and they kept on delaying it. Well, they've put the guessing and wondering when it's going to be released to bed, at least for now, at least for a few more months. Because they said at the developers conference, they're releasing One UI 7 with Android 15 alongside the new S25 models. Samsung is going to announce launch One UI 7 on the new Samsung Galaxy S25 series when that gets released here in early January. It's a big bummer, which means it's a total gaffe, a total miss. Typically, a new version of Android will come out earlier in the year, and then Samsung has traditionally updated their flagship devices right around in November. So the S23 series devices got Android 14 last November. The S22 devices got Android 13 in the November before that, and so on for years. And this is the first year I can remember that them taking this long on an update. Now, am I personally concerned or upset that this delay has incurred and gone on for so long? Not really. I kind of wish it would come, but if it's not ready, it's not ready. I don't want them to update and remember, these are millions of devices they have to update. So I don't want them to push an update and it be sluggish. Push an update and it freezes. Push an update and stuff doesn't work. I want them to get it right. So does it suck? Yes. But am I entirely bummed out? Not really. not yet. Plus, the other thing is, I think one of the major reasons why I'm not in anticipation of this that much is because they basically copycatted iOS. If you're not familiar, there have been leaks, specifically at the developers conference that Samsung held for this announcement that they were going to release One UI 7 at the beginning of next year. But they had a couple of devices, like, when you go into Best Buy or AT&T, they have the devices you can pick up and play with. So Samsung had devices, the S24 Ultra, a bunch of these S24 Ultras with One UI 7 on them. So people in the publication world that went to this developers conference could actually use it and see what One UI 7 looks like, it feels like. So we've gotten to see little clips here and there of the operating system, what the app icons look like, what the animations look like, what the notification tray pull down looks like, settings, all this stuff, right? Quick settings, all that stuff. Well, it looks like iOS. So a lot of the app icons are not a carbon copy of iOS apps, of an iPhone app, but it's pretty freaking close. And that bothers me. So that's probably why I'm not bummed out that we don't have One UI 7. But look, you can always look. I know you can change the themes and you can change the icons, this and that. But it's a bummer that they're going to make it look identical to iOS. Not the entire operating system, but the app icons basically copied iOS. Their settings icon looks the same, the gallery icon looks the same, the camera icon looks the same, the phone dialer looks the same. What else? Contacts looks the same. Browser looks the same. So that, in my opinion, is a big bummer, and I think Samsung is really treading is walking on thin ice with this stuff, because we mentioned earlier in the week the Samsung CEO was very upset with the release of the Galaxy Buds 3, essentially an AirPods copycat. Minus, I know it doesn't look exactly like it, but come on, it looks pretty similar. He was very upset, Samsung CEO, that they were copying Apple, and you would think they would run it by him before they released it. You would think that Samsung Mobile would show the Samsung CEO what they've been working on when it comes to not only the earbuds, the Galaxy Buds that look similar to the AirPods, but with the One UI 7, the app icons looks just like iOS. So if he's not happy about copying Apple when it comes to physical products, how could he be happy about releasing software that shadows what Apple's doing over here, right? I mean, it's kind of a, I don't know what they have going on over there, but it's one of the reasons why I'm not looking that forward to it. I do want, obviously, new software, new features, and I want it to be buttery smooth, which I'm sure it will be. It's just the whole iOS thing kind of bugs me, but it is what it is. I'll just have to change the app icons, change my icon pack. That'll do it for today. Thank you for joining me. eSIM Studios podcast episode number 210. If you missed the Xiaomi 15 Pro news report, you can catch the replay of this and watch that. We also did Android device protection features that were out. And we also ran a story on the new upcoming iPhone 17 Air. If you missed any of those, simply go to YouTube, type in eSIM Studios, catch the replay, episode 210, or as soon as this is done, I'm going to go upload the audio version to the podcast platforms so you can take us on the go and listen to us when you're on a road trip or running errands around town, or heck, even doing chores around the house, right? Like I got to do here in a second. Yay. You can catch us on any podcast platform available. Appreciate the time. Please have a safe and enjoyable Sunday afternoon, rest of your weekend, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.